Al, we're going to talk about your favorite subject this week.
Oh?
Cars.
Vroom Vroom.
Vroom vroom.
The Disney movie.
No.
No, that movie is not my favorite.
Owen Wilson is not here.
Oh, well.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Nor is Larry the Cable Guy.
I mean, honestly, I think we're a more iconic duo than those two.
When are they going to put Owen Wilson into Kingdom Hearts?
Oh, no. Wow.
Wow. Wow, Sora. Wow.
Oh, God.
Wow, Susanna Hart. That's all we need.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. How to make Kingdom Hearts a better series in one step? Add Owen Wilson. Wow.
Unfortunately, it's not what we're talking about this week.
We're not talking about that, and Cars is not my favorite.
We're talking about real cars.
Vroom vroom.
Not the vroom vroom kind.
Not actual real cars.
No, these are real cars.
It's like
I'm not wrong.
Based on a true story. Cars.
Oh, man. Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Seasonal Anime Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Howe and Ladium.
Hello.
This is episode number 272, and we're going to talk about Gran Turismo 7.
Wow.
And also the PlayStation 5, because we both have one of those now. We can kind of talk about it.
Uh-huh.
Because why not? But yes, GT7 is out now.
Mm-hmm.
The first mainline Gran Turismo game since Gran Turismo 6 on the PlayStation 3. Which is weird to think about.
That is weird to think about.
There was a PS4 GT game, but it was the weird Gran Turismo Sport, which was more like esports focused. And just weird.
Weird.
Yeah. This is more of a return to the normal stylings of the series, but also retaining some of that stuff that they put into sport as well. So it's like a weird mix mash of the two. It is also available on the PS5 and PS4. So you can get it on both platforms, but if you want it to run the best, you're probably going to want to get it on the PS5. Because load times are significantly quicker on the PS5 compared to a base PS4 where it's like 10 times as quick. I think I saw a video IGN did where it was like 4 seconds on PS5 and like almost 50 seconds on PS4. Which is a lot. Very significant.
Yeah, that is not a small amount there.
No.
Dang.
And also, it's a very pretty game.
It is very pretty. I can agree with the little bit that I've seen. It is very lovely looking.
It's very pretty. So there's all that. It's a weird game, I think. Like, I've been enjoying my time with it. Like, it's a simulation racer. It's one of those. So it's not like they've really changed the boat on that. But there's a lot of weirdness to this game. Like, the way you progress through, like, the game, quote unquote, is you go to this weird cafe where this dude's like, here's a menu of cars I want you to get, or do this race, and then come back, and I'll give you rewards. So, like, that's how you progress through the game, and I finished all that up last night, and then it was like, oh, yeah, you did everything. All right, cool. Later. And I was like, okay.
All right.
I guess. Which felt very short compared to, like, previous GT games. Like, and I guess I should say, like, I haven't played an actual Gran Turismo, like, in full since, like, GT4 on the PS2.
Oh, wow.
So that is quite a long time ago, but I feel like I remember back then that game taking a long time to get through. Like, there was just so much, like, stuff you could do. And, like, there is quite a bit that you can do in this game, but it does feel like there is less content than I would have expected. Like, there's not as many tracks as I would have expected for a big sim racer like GT. Like, I think in total there's like 25-ish, 25 to 30, which seems like a lot, obviously, but like not all of those are like real tracks. Like, some of them are like the Gran Turismo original tracks that they've had in the game since like the very beginning. So like you are kind of losing a little bit on that, and I don't know, like there is variety, of course, with like the tracks and everything, but I just would have figured there would be more. So that was kind of a weird thing in general. The way they kind of show off like the options in terms of racing and everything is very much through those menu books, but like outside of that, there's a few options you can get per track of like, here's some bonus races you can do that are outside of the main path, but there's not a whole lot of those per se, which is also I think kind of surprising. Like there's no endurance racing options, which used to be a prominent feature in the older GT games. Like you can go ahead and like custom race those and like do it that way, but there's nothing like set up in the game to be like, okay, here you can do this race and you'll get this amount of rewards. Like I remember in like the older ones, like there was definitely ones where you'd be like, all right, do this 2-hour race and you'll get this cool car because it's a hard race to do because you have to sit there for 2 hours and do it.
Good God, I can't imagine sitting there and racing for 2 hours.
Or I think in like 4, they had a thing where like, it might have been 4. I feel like this was in GT. It might have been Forza, but one of those games definitely had a thing where like you could run a full 24-hour race. Like you can do that in here, obviously, but like it was like an actual thing you could do in the game. Like it was like set up by the game itself. And one of the ways you could alleviate doing that is that like you could set up AI drivers to race for you while you're doing something else.
That's
so, like,
nice.
Go to sleep and like the AI will drive for you while doing that. So I remember doing that one time and like setting it up so like I did it while I was sleeping and when I was in school. So I came back and I was like still in it and had to like finish it off that way. And like that's a cool like weird feature that like that's something like I'm a fan of, but that is something that is not here in this game, which I thought was kind of disappointing. Because like once I got through like the last little championship race thing, I was like, all right, well I'm probably gonna unlock like the endurance racing options and all that sort of stuff, and like
do some goofy stuff.
Do some like stuff like that, and like get like the harder races and all that sort of stuff. But like that's just like you finish and it's like, okay, cool, whatever, you're done.
That makes it seem incomplete.
It's weird because like as well, I believe one of the requirements for finishing like the final championship race through like I guess like if you want to call this a single player campaign is you only have to get up to your A rank license, and like they go up through like 3 more steps beyond that. And usually I felt like with the older GT games, like the way progression would work obviously would be like you would get gated by these licenses, and you'd have to keep going and going and getting the other ones and like that would unlock like the harder like races you could do later on in the game. And like you still can do like the license races and all that sort of stuff, or the license tests and all that sort of stuff, but like it seems like it just cuts off like halfway through if you were just following along the game by itself and not doing them just like at once, which seems bizarre in a weird way. I will say the final license test is actually pretty cool in a way that like it shows off like how like the game can be mechanically and also graphically, in that like you have to do a hot lap of a track, and like that seems easy in and of itself, right? Just do one lap, get it under this time, and you'll complete it.
Right.
The caveat of this is that like it's a track where you can tell it's like rained recently, so the track is wet except for like the racing groove. So like the line you would be racing on is dry, but if you exceed those margins, you go into the wet, and like basically it's like you're driving on ice and your car's just going to spin out immediately.
Oh God.
So like it's a really cool mechanical thing of like showing you how to maneuver on like wet courses with like dry tires and all that sort of stuff. So it makes it a very challenging, final test and all that sort of stuff. But then like within the context of like the actual game and like the campaign of the game, like you really don't ever run into that. Because there's really like there's not really a whole lot of races that like make you have to like, pit for tires or do all that sort of stuff. There is a few of the outside of the campaign races that I think allow you to do that, but they're not like super long races. It's like, here's a race that's like 7 laps long, but we've bumped up the fuel and tire wear to make it so like you'll have to do all this sort of stuff. So it's not necessarily exactly like what I would be looking for in that aspect, if that makes any sense. there is a thing on the main menu that says like, oh hey, we're gonna add DLC that's like more courses, cars, and all this bunch of stuff. So like, I guess there'll be more stuff to this game at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know when, because it says, hey, we will do this.
Just eventually it'll happen.
Just eventually. There's also like missions you can do as well that are kind of like little scenarios that are like, you know, pass these number of cars in this little amount of time, you know, slipstream all these cars and get to this speed threshold. Hit all these cones if you want to. What are some other ones that are on there that are like weird? Do like a drift through a corner and get this amount of points and all this sort of stuff. There's some interesting ones that are also like fuel economy runs where it's like, you know, complete this lap without running out of fuel. Or there was one I did that was like, get as far as you can while on like as low fuel as possible.
Oh, God.
And just preserve as much fuel as you can until you run out of gas.
That's like the most anxiety-inducing thing ever. Like,
so like that. So like those are cool little like neat things
challenges
that are in there. Yeah, but like there's not a whole lot of them, unfortunately. So it's like I don't know if I would say this game's like incomplete or unfinished. Like obviously it got delayed because of COVID and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
But like
it you just wanted more out of it.
Specifically because it is a numbered GT game. Like it feels like there should be more to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's definitely a lot of cars in it. Like it's not wanting for cars, I would say. Like all that stuff is in there, but I don't like. It feels weird. Like this doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of content in this. Like maybe there is if like you're an online player and like you get into that stuff. Like maybe it's a lot more fulfilling in that with that aspect. But for me, I'm just like I want to do some races and go vroom vroom,
vroom vroom,
and all that sort of stuff. So there's that. It does have like the weird. You can make your own liveries and all that sort of stuff if you want. And upload them and share them onto their servers and all that sort of stuff to download for other people and all that sort of stuff. So that part's fun. Apparently that was a thing in sport because I saw a lot of people being like, "Oh, I just transferred this from sport." Oh. I was like, "Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Why there was like already designs up in the game like the day of release and all that sort of stuff."
Yeah,
like,
you had some nice
this being a thing.
Ones.
Yeah. So, like, that's a cool little thing. They go the extra mile from, like, what Forza does, where, like, they allow you to also have, like, custom-designed helmets and fire suits, which allows for some just goofy combinations and all that sort of stuff.
I liked yours.
Which is fun. Like, I think that's, like, a very weird thing to add to this game, but it's also a very fun thing to add. It's just, like a little small touch, and it's like, all right, cool. Why not?
I like your Chaos car a lot.
Yes, the Chaos car is very good.
It's very, very good. It's basically like, what did Jared and Al like? Let's just throw this on a car.
Pretty much.
Blech. I mean, I know you made it, but it was great.
I mean, it's very much in both of our wheelhouses, let's say.
Yeah, I appreciated it quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I also like that, like, when you were showing off the game to me, you decided you were going to use a Corona car.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I was like, nice. Corona car. Let's go. Vroom, vroom.
Vroom, vroom.
Vroom, vroom. Take her home country roads.
Yes. I think the weirdest thing in this game, though, is the thing that we went through.
Yes.
And that's the historical, like, museum stuff.
Yeah, so you're talking about how it doesn't have a whole lot of content. It's because they spent all the time doing the history museum section.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So, like, it's a cool feature in that, like,
it's rad.
If you want to learn about, like, the history of a lot of different car manufacturers and all that sort of stuff, like, you can totally do that in here. Like, a lot of, like, the popular ones from, you know, North America, Europe, and Asia/Japan, all that sort of stuff is in here, and you can learn from like their beginnings all the way up to current day of like what they're doing and all that sort of stuff.
Except
there's also some
Ford was it that had a really
Ford's not there, which is weird.
Very weird.
You also learn some stuff about like motorsport because like there's an FIA little section in there as well. So if you want to learn about like random things from Formula One and all the other different motorsports stuff that the FIA overseas and all that sort of stuff. And then they also learn the history of Gran Turismo if you want, which is like, here's when these games came out.
Yep.
And you're like, yep, that's it.
Those sure
but also,
come out.
they like they give you all of that, but then they put it in like the context of like what's also happening in the world,
Yeah, they're trying to put it into the historical context of what was going on at the time.
which is so weird and
And
bizarre.
somehow missing like major events at points.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorites was like the picture of Iwo Jima. They're like, he just won an award, but like completely glossed over the fact that like World War II existed and like I don't know why were we in Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, or just like 9/11 didn't exist.
Right.
They mentioned the World Trade Center twice though, and or like or the original one and then the rebuilt one, and like no clarification as to what happened there.
It's very weird.
So weird. And it starts with like Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, here's Teddy, have fun. I'm like, what are we getting ourselves into? But it was like I don't know, it felt like a buckle up moment because we were on a ride and I think we were there for like an hour at least, right?
It's a lot in there because like you said, it starts like late 19th century and goes up to modern day.
Mm-hmm.
And they cover a lot of like weird stuff. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's like missing,
Yeah.
and like there's a lot of like selective like information they're telling you.
Oh yeah.
But also there's a lot of like weird specificities of stuff that's in there that you're just like, all right, sure.
Yeah.
I guess this is noteworthy.
I'm trying to
and should
remember
be in
something
here.
specifically that were odd. Oh man.
Like, there's a lot of like, especially early on, like this book came out and was very noteworthy. This
Oh right.
play or this musical came out and was noteworthy. And it's like, all right, sure.
Cool.
I mean, I guess that is a historical moment and everything. Also, there's like a lot of times it's just like, hey, this building is a historical monument now.
Yep. Yeah, that was strange.
And I'm like, okay, cool.
Here's Albert Einstein sticking out his tongue.
Go
Famous for this picture. It's like, wait.
bleh.
There were things leading up to this picture that mattered about Albert Einstein.
No, he's just a black guy, and that's all he's famous for. Bleh.
Yeah, the historic monument ones, those are very strange. It's like, okay, cool, I guess. Some of these were built like in a period that you could have mentioned like, hey, this was built and then it's put on like a register, but yeah, it was weird. And like I understand there was a lot of like racing specific ones. Like I learned a lot about like old weird racing vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Or like that one scary one that was like a 3-wheeler car.
Yeah.
Oh god, that looked like a nightmare.
There's like some stuff in there. It's like, here's when the Indy 500 was happening, like early parts of that. Here's like when Formula One was going off in the 50s and 60s and stuff with that. Which also they don't get into like the gruesome parts of that stuff, where it's like we talked about, where it's like,
yeah.
oh yeah, people were just dying weekly in that series, and everyone's like, that's a thing we got to deal with.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah.
It's like shoot. I'm blanking on what I was what it's actually called, but basically like early stunt flying.
Mm-hmm.
Like people died all the time doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like yikes.
Yeah.
Things that go fast and people have to control, and sometimes you do crazy things with them, like often leads to a lot of dead people.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
Also, like, here's a weird tangent we're gonna go off of here, but like, there's a lot of arguments about how auto racing is more safe than it's ever been before,
Mm-hmm.
and how that in itself makes it so it is less popular than ever before because people just don't tune in because of the dangers of auto racing.
I would believe that, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And sad.
Yeah, it totally is. Like, because there was obviously like this morbid nature to it, because people would just be like, all right, well, let's see crazy happen, and now
Right.
it's like you'll still see like crazy wrecks and things, but like most of the time it's like no one's gonna die from these.
And that's, people rubberneck with car accidents, so it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned earlier when we were talking about the history thing, like this is obviously a very sanitized version of history, and they tell you a lot of things that they want you to know, but many things that like should probably be there aren't.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, we get to have some information about books, but like, I don't know, we're not gonna talk about women's suffrage or anything,
And
which
like
is in this time period.
totally. And like there's also just like weird picking and choosing of things because obviously licensing, I think.
Yeah.
Like video game wise, they're like, hey, Space War was a thing. Hey,
Yep.
Whatchamacallit? Space Invaders was a thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and the PS1 came out in '94.
Yep. Yep.
Nothing else happened.
Nothing else happened between those. Nothing. Not a
Nope.
thing.
Nope.
Um. Oh, there was something I was gonna bring up. There's something I was gonna bring up. Heck, fire. I feel like it was super important too. Oh man, brain farts happen.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm blanking entirely on what I was going to talk about. I remember that I was talking about women's suffrage and how it was gone. But that's I do remember that there was some wording with the Great Depression and FDR that bothered me. Oh, I was going to say that I was jazzed that the cabinet Dr. Caligari was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, although there's some stuff that's left out in there about like why German film was the way that it was at the time, but
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because like they are basically fitting in these historical moments into like a singular sentence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like obviously there's a lot of context that's going to get missing. There's going to be a lot of just information in general that's going to be omitted.
And they're not historians, so like
right.
They're going to try and make these explanations as simple as possible and saying like if FDR's economic policies like saved people from the Great Depression or whatever. I forgot exactly how they worded it, but I was like, not exactly, but I understand that like not everybody wants the nuance and language that I would prefer.
Right. I mean, you're not coming to this game for like history lessons in terms of like global history.
You're not? What?
I know. Very
why would
shocking.
you not come to this for history lessons?
Very shocking.
I mean, who doesn't get their history from Gran Turismo?
I don't know. Good question.
There are a lot of dudes with crazy mustaches and like facial expressions in this.
To be fair, we missed out probably on a lot more because like a lot of the early days of car manufacturers probably had a bunch of weird dudes with facial hair and just looking wild and stuff that we just did not miss because we didn't go into that.
And there were also like just random dudes that were like, that looks like a guy you would see like in the Senate right now.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay, cool. All right. I mean, like,
this random guy.
I understand, like, yeah, people still like look generally the same, but like in terms of hairstyle and outfit and all, like it doesn't look out of place at all. That like they would be alive now, but they're definitely not. They're super, super dead.
Yeah.
There was that one guy who kept showing up with a crazy facial hair and the lazy eye.
Oh yeah.
He showed up a few times.
Sauter.
Okay, yeah. Right. You're right.
Existentialism will do that to you.
It's true. It's true. Man. That's another thing. Bringing up existentialism in Gran Turismo.
Sure.
I was really excited to go through this with you though. That it was really fun, and I knew that you knew that I would like super enjoy it. I'm happy that we were able to go through it together because there's a lot of just like what?
Yeah.
What? Why? Moments, and it was very, very fun.
Mm-hmm.
Or just us being gremlins about it. Generally,
it's a weird thing.
It is a weird thing. It is a very weird thing, and it's still very strange that Ford just like we don't need to tell you our history.
Nah.
Goodbye. It's like wait. No, Ford, you're important.
Come back here.
Your history matters.
Get back here.
Come here. Put in information. It's like Ford is the company that didn't turn in their homework.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, Ford, like, come on, I know you're intelligent. You can do this. You can put in this stuff. And they're like, nah, we're good.
Just go watch one of these YouTube videos we put in the game.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. It's like, oh, come on. But, I'm not the Ford history person. Thank God. I'd
That would
throw
be a bit
myself off a
strange.
bridge.
Oh no.
It was a wild experience. And I obviously had more time with the history section than I did anything else about the game.
Totally, yeah. I mean, where else are you going to learn about COVID-19 vaccinations happening
Yeah.
than Gran Turismo 7?
Yeah. That was a weird transition, wasn't it? Oh boy.
And that boat getting stuck.
Right. The boat. And I was thinking about the drifting and all the videos. And then like had a realization like, oh my God, that was a year ago.
Yep.
Time isn't real.
Nope.
We all got so much enjoyment out of memes about a ship getting stuck in a canal.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, just think this month is going to be 2 years since the pandemic started.
Are we having fun yet?
No. Definitely not.
No, no, no. But hey, race cars.
Yeah, those cars look good.
Yeah, they look really good.
It's a really nice looking game.
Got some nice sunny bits and rainy bits and lighting look good. Sentences, I can say them.
Can't make it snow though. Unfortunate.
Wow, rude.
It's not like Project Cars where I could be like, I can go into full gremlin mode and be like, I'm gonna go race at Daytona and make it snow. Why? Because I can.
Weather changes everything.
Yes.
Instead of seasons.
No seasons here.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned to you while we were quote unquote playing this, like I've been across from Daytona Speedway many times. I can't even imagine what it would be like if it snowed there.
Chaos.
Absolute chaos. You know that Florida's not at all capable of handling that.
No.
No. Everybody would die. It would just descend into absolute Mad Max chaos there as soon as a single snow drizzle snowflake came down.
Please look out for the snow drizzle.
I couldn't think of the word. I told you I'm like brain farted today completely. So snow drizzle came out. Whoops.
Good old snow drizzle. But yeah, GT7 is a video game. It's cars.
Vroom.
Yeah, if you want some good looking cars
and some history
and some weird history, that's the way to go.
Very weird history.
But I guess to coincide with that, let's talk about the PlayStation 5.
Hey, we both have a PlayStation 5 now.
We do. We both do have a PS5.
Yeah.
You obviously had yours a lot longer than I've had mine.
Yeah, I got mine. When did Root Film come out?
Like April of last year, around like March or April of last year.
Yeah, I've had mine for about a year. Because I got an accidental PS5. March 19th. So yeah, about a year. I kept seeing on the Wario64 Twitter how hard it was to get a PS5.
Right.
And I'm like, I wonder how hard it actually is. I'm gonna just, shoot the and give it a shot. And so like one of the drops happened, I put it in the cart and I'm like, okay, gonna check out and it's probably not gonna be there. And I go to check out and I put in all the stuff and then like I hit the button expecting like, oh no, it's not gonna be in stock. And it's like, congratulations, like here's your order number. I'm like, wait, what? And then they shipped me a PS5, and the first game I played on it was Root Film.
Yep.
um, yep. So I did not fully intend to get a PS5.
You were taking advantage of the power of the PlayStation 5 by playing Root Film.
By Root Film, yes, exactly. The one that absolutely needs all that power.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. And just as a side note, I did the same thing with the Series X, and I was like, well, I guess I have that too now. So my curiosity is a problem.
Apparently. My
Um,
favorite excuse me, my favorite thing about that whole experience was you being embarrassed to tell me.
I was embarrassed to tell you. I was like, oh no, this is really embarrassing.
So like I see you playing Root Film on a PS5. I was like, what? That doesn't make sense. And then I asked you, and you're like, yeah, I got a PS5. I was like, whoa, cool.
I was so embarrassed.
Like I didn't care, and you're just like, oh no. I was like, neat. That's cool.
Yeah, I was really embarrassed that I did that. And I was embarrassed with the Xbox too. But now you know that I have both of them, and now I guess the world knows that I got both of them, and it was complete accident. And I thank everybody that I had, like, money put aside for both of them at some point. That I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get these eventually, and eventually it
Right.
came sooner rather than later.
Right.
So I was like, all right, well, I was gonna get them anyway, so here we are.
Might as well.
Yep. Good Lord, the PS5 is huge.
It is a big old console.
It's a big boy.
That is a big boy.
Man. And you tried to get yours for a while. You had the opposite experience of the spectrum of me, where I was like, let me see if I can get a PS5. I won't get it. Da, da, da. Oh God. And you're like, I want actually to purchase a PS5. And then, no, you cannot. Nobody.
Well, I think as well, like there was a distinct drop off in terms of like drops that happened in the early parts of this year.
Yeah.
So like
I'm
that
probably
didn't
recovering
help.
for the holiday.
Yeah, so like that didn't help in the slightest. It was just like just waiting and waiting and waiting for like things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, yo, it's gonna happen sometime, and then eventually it did.
Yay.
And I was like, cool, I got it.
Woo.
Hooray!
Now you have a big boy.
Now I got a big boy.
We both got the disc version. I guess that's worth mentioning.
Yeah, because we're not monsters.
Yeah. Um, that's basically it.
Mm-hmm.
I like having physical media.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a disc version. So do you.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot get over how large this thing is. Like, I tried to put it in my entertainment system, and it's like, and entertainment center.
It's like no.
It's like no, I'm not fitting there. So I had to put it like beside my TV, because I could not make it fit where all my other consoles are. I'm like, okay, well, you're a hideous little beast now.
Mine is behind my television.
I wonder if I could fit mine behind my television, because then I could still have access to the disk drive. But I will try that after we finish recording, or rather than me trying to stand up and do this now, because everything would probably blow up immediately when I try.
That'd be a very wild thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big old boy. I will say I think some of the changes they did to the UI is weird.
I hate it. I hate the new UI.
And I'm just like, I don't understand why you would do that, but I guess because it's a new thing, you have to change things up. But it's like, PS4 thing was fine.
Xbox didn't change it up at all.
No.
They're like, hey, our UI works. Here's the UI you recognize. PS5, they just like went crazy pants with it. I don't like it. I don't like the UI at all. Like, so many things are just so convoluted and don't make any sense and like non-intuitive.
I feel like I've gotten used to it now, though, using it a lot. So like,
I don't use mine enough to get used to it yet.
Right.
I will say that I like that certain games, like when you scroll over onto them, it'll like play music related to it.
Music.
So like if I go to like Devil May Cry, I get Devil May Cry music. I'm like, yay, time to rock out, woo!
Yeah, but what if they had themes?
I miss themes
I
so
also miss
much.
themes.
I miss themes. Ugh.
Bring them back.
I basically hate everything about the UI on the PS5. Like, there's nothing that I genuinely like. Because if given the choice of the music thing that I was just mentioning and themes, I'm gonna pick themes.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like the PS4 interface worked fine. It was really great, and it was an improvement over the PS3 interface, which is very similar. Um, and then the PS5, they're just like, what if we just do none of that works and make it just stupid? Like, hey, how about SharePlay? Let's just make that really non-intuitive. Woo! It's so hard to figure out how to do that. And eventually I'll get used to it, I'm sure, because like we do that a lot. Um, but I just don't play it enough that it's become a thing that's intuitive to me. Whereas with PS4, it's like, here, I'm just gonna hit the share play button. Woo, it's done.
I mean, of course, it is the idea that you've had what, like 8 or 9 years of experience using a PS4 compared
Mm-hmm.
to one with a PS5.
Yeah,
So there's a bit of a difference, obviously, but
I still don't like it.
some of those changes are just weird, I would say.
Bring back themes.
Bring back themes as well. I like the controller.
I don't.
Well, it's because it's probably big and you have small hands.
Correct.
That's why.
Yes.
Um, it feels a lot like the DualShock 4, just a different design, all that sort of stuff. I will say I really like the adaptive triggers and haptic feedback that are like used in combination with both of those. Like the rumble in this really feels like what Nintendo tried to market to you with HD Rumble,
Mm-hmm.
except HD Rumble was we just made the rumble really loud and high. Bring. Whereas this, like, you can really feel like stuff happening throughout like the entirety of the controller. So like when I'm playing GT7, like it has the adaptive trigger stuff. Like your L2 will be harder to push down because that's your brake.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's hard to do that, and then R2 can be a little flimsy at times with like the accelerator, depending on where you are at on the surface of the track and all that sort of stuff. And then like where you are on the track will like vibrate differently on your controller. So like if you're taking a right-handed turn and you hit the rumble strips on the inside of the corner, like the right side of your controller is going to vibrate. And if you do the other way, the left side of your controller is going to vibrate. And if like you're going over like rough surfaces, like the whole controller is going to like be like, whoa, what are you doing? And I think that stuff is just really cool and just like a really smart added touch to really create more immersion within your gaming experiences compared to like what Rumble used to be, where it's just like all that sort of stuff.
I haven't used anything or I haven't played anything that really used it quite like that. I will tell you though, and this is going to be the least surprising thing to you because you know me very well. The first time like it did the rumbles, it scared me
Shocker.
like a lot. It scared me a whole lot because the rumbles felt very different from anything I had experienced previously.
Right.
I was like, what is this? Legitimately freaked me out for a minute. And then I realized, like, okay, yes, this is fine. I can handle this. This is okay.
You're a menace.
Yeah. Whoops. It just alarmed me. I'm easily alarmed.
That is definitely true.
But
It's not a lie.
It's not a lie. I just have not. I've not really had anything that. I mean, I got scared by a dang menu when I was playing on the PS5. But I haven't had anything that uses it as clever like as GT7. That sounds really smart.
Yeah. So like I think I like all that sort of stuff. Graphically, everything looks great, even like on my
Looks
older
beautiful.
TV.
Yeah.
Um,
I have 4K TV and everything's just like beautiful.
Yeah. It's all like all that stuff is good. Like you can definitely tell it's like textures are much better, higher res. So like all that stuff's gonna look better. Lighting is the big thing.
Yep.
Throughout most games that utilize the hardware to its fullest extent, of just like all that stuff looks better in a way that like it really hadn't before on consoles.
Mm-hmm.
So like that stuff is all really cool and everything. But I think the big thing out of these consoles is load times.
Yeah.
Load times are just ridiculous
Yeah.
in a way that you're just like, man, how did we ever deal with this stuff before?
Right? It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice to have like better load times.
It's really good. Like we were playing the Sonic game
Yeah.
over the weekend, and that is
Yeah.
obviously a PS4 game. It's not, it doesn't have anything. It doesn't do anything on the PS5.
Mhm.
But like there's significant load times when you're going in and out of races in that game. And I was just like, I was getting impatient in a way. I was like, oh right, this used to be normal.
Yep.
I just got used to things just being like snappy. And now I'm just like, oh man, I have to wait for a load?
Ugh.
What is this?
Trash.
The Stone Ages?
Oh yeah. Well, and I remember when we were playing True Colors, Life is Strange True Colors. I watched you play on PS4 and I'd played it on PS5 and I mentioned the load time difference.
Yeah.
Because that was a significant difference. I would be interested to see like if you saw that on PS5 now, like what you would think. But that is not to say that you should go back and play True Colors again unless you really want to. But it is a huge difference.
It really is. Like the first thing I downloaded on my PS5 was Final Fantasy 14 because obviously,
yeah.
Which that game runs better on PS5. Like you have a steady 60 frames a second, just like at all times. I was just like, holy this frame rate! Oh my god! But like load times are just significantly quicker in that game as well. So like you can like warp to one of like the busiest cities in the game and like you're just there instantly. Whereas like if you're on base PS4, it takes you like a good 30 to 40 seconds to load in because like it has to populate all the people and like there's so many people that it's like the game's like I'm struggling. Whereas like this is like, all right, cool, we're in. All right, go do your stuff.
Have fun, kid.
Yeah. I'm just like, man. Man.
Yep.
This is nice.
Yeah, load times on PS5 and Series X are insane.
Yeah.
Insane. I love it.
It's really good. Like obviously these consoles, like you're not gonna have like a whole bunch of like the graphical quality is like there's an improvement obviously over the previous generation of consoles, but like we keep reaching like the wall essentially of just like, these games look good. How much better can they look? And like these games do look better.
They look better, but yeah.
But we are reaching that point where it's like, how much better can we make these look? Whereas like I think the big thing with these consoles is that like the load times being significantly reduced just changes a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like that's the big selling point I think for these newer consoles.
Not PS5 related, but Series X related, and you're again gonna be like, well, yeah, that's Al. You know that I was playing Lost Odyssey recently on my Series X.
Correct.
And because it's the digital version, which I guess I could play the disc version, I haven't tried, but good lord, are the load times on that super fast now. It's like that is a 360 game and it loads like amazingly fast now.
Which it does help that like Microsoft like puts in work.
They do. I was just like, whoa.
To like kind of like, make those games run better and look better on each console, like each newer console. So like that's a cool thing as well, but like yeah.
Beautiful. A++. Worth buying the Series X just for that, by the way.
Just for Lost Odyssey.
Just for Lost Odyssey. One thing I do want to say about the PS5 that's not related to load times or Lost Odyssey, because you can't play Lost Odyssey on the PS5. I hate the white.
I mean, I have a white PS4, so it doesn't really bother me.
I don't have a white PS4. I do not like the white.
But I think that's fair.
White does not age well. And I just don't like how it looks. It still just also looks like a giant router to me.
Yeah.
Like a giant router. I want you guys to realize when I say this is a large console, and I know this like probably people have this system, so they know this, but like if I stand up next to the PS5, it's essentially the size of my torso in terms of length. And that's not an exaggeration. It's crazy. It's huge.
It's so big.
It's so big. Why is it so big? It's also so loud.
So I think, to be fair, like when there's a disc in the system, it is very loud.
Jet engine.
But if you don't have a disc in the system, like it's really quiet.
But I want to have discs in the system because I like my physical media.
No, I mean that's fine. But like if you just take that disc out, like that thing's just gonna like be like quiet, and you're just gonna be like, is it running? Where'd it go?
Well, with a disc in, it is ready for takeoff.
I only have it really do that like I think at launch when it launches up,
Mm-hmm.
but like after that it seems relatively fine on my end.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't played anything like long enough for it to really matter. I don't know. I think what have I played the most on? Well, besides Root Film,
Alan Wake.
Alan Wake. Oh my God. You're right. Alan Wake is the next thing that I've spent the most time with. And it wasn't like distractingly loud at that point, but it did have moments. I was like, good God, dude. You need to calm down, PS5. Hey, that means you can play Alan Wake that I got you finally on
Yeah,
the
I haven't opened that
PS5.
yet.
Well, that's fine, but like you actually have a use for it now.
I do have a use for it now. You're right. It's not just gonna sit there and just be a trophy.
mocking you for your lack of PS5.
Yeah.
I still can't believe I somehow got you a free copy of Alan Wake for the PS5.
Thanks, Target.
Thanks, Target. You're the best. Um, but yeah. Now you can play Alan Wake on your PS5.
Woo.
Woo. You're right though. Like that's probably the most time I've spent since Alan Wake and Root Film. I played some of the Tales of Rise on there, but I didn't
You didn't
like.
get super far.
I didn't like it.
Right.
And I played some of the Devil May Cry, but I got really busy and stopped doing that.
I mean, the third highest thing you've probably played on your PS5 is the Stranger of Paradise Trials.
Yeah, you're right.
Although, really, to be fair, it's probably Life is Strange.
Oh, right. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's probably it. But Stranger of Paradise, come on.
That game's out next week.
Is it next week?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I cannot wait. That game just looks stupid and I love it.
It looks real dumb.
It looks so stupid. I have to finish my Atome before next week so I can dedicate all my time to stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Well, now I'm excited. PS5, you're getting used soon.
It's like, oh boy.
Yay!
Finally.
Finally. You're going to love me. No, not really.
I'm gonna try.
I sound negative. I'm really not negative about the PS5. Like, I think it's a fine console. I think it does what it needs to do really, really well. I just haven't gotten to use it a whole lot yet, and that's the big bummer.
Which, like, I guess to be fair, like, there's still not a whole lot of stuff out there in the catalog, especially like for like PS5 stuff.
Yeah,
that's not like cross-platform, but cross-generation.
Right.
Like, there's still not a whole lot.
Right.
In there, unfortunately. But like obviously that's, due to the fact that, the pandemic is still running rampant on development and just in general in terms of life and all that sort of stuff. And like, hey, consoles are still very hard to find.
Yeah. And it's still a relatively new console too.
Yeah.
So it will get better, and I'm sure that I will use it just as much as I used my PS4 because I used my PS4 a lot. And hey, the benefit of this, which is probably not going to last me very long, is that I have space on it where I don't have space on my PS4.
Yeah.
So I can actually like do things. But Yeah, I guess Stranger Paradise will be the next thing that gets me to boot up the router jet engine.
Yum.
Um, I just wish it wasn't white, and I wish that like it's got those little attachment thingies you could put on it that they sell.
But
Like
they're expensive.
they're so expensive. It's like $80. Sony thinks that they're gonna get me to spend $80 to make it blue. Like,
Well, it's
no.
because there was people actually making those for the console, and then Sony was like, "Nah, you're not.
Oh my god, of course.
We want to get our money."
Um, those colored controllers are sexy as hell, though. But
Again,
I'm not spending that money
expensive.
for it. I'm not spending that much money on that. I will
Yeah,
suffer through my weird white console.
yeah. But yeah, obviously, like we said, like that console's not been out for long, so I'm sure the our feelings about it are going to change over the next 5 to 6 years of its existence
Mm-hmm.
until the next consoles decide to come out or whenever or whatever, or the half step consoles come out or whatever they decide to do. Who knows?
Hey, Root Film plays beautifully on it.
Oh, I bet. Those 2D sprites probably pop.
Beautiful, man. So beautiful. The lighting.
Oh, man.
So you're like, you're playing Root Film on a PS5. That can't be right. I'm like, oh, well, it is right. Eh.
Goober.
Buddy, you're blocking out all the light. You're making it really dark.
But that's what you like.
Well, I do, but I also like want to kind of see at the moment since I'm recording.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I mean, we were talking about lighting being good on the PS5. I probably need good lighting in my life, in my house, right? No, I don't.
Yeah, because you live like a vampire.
It's okay, yeah. It's the best though.
Oh, man. I think that's going to wrap up this episode, though.
Yeah, I wrapped it up. Max is here.
Unless you want anything else you want to talk about the PS5 about.
No, I'm once we finish recording, I want to see if I can get it behind my TV and hopefully not die in the process.
We'll hope not.
If Psycho VA only has one or one host next week, you know what happened to me. I died via PS5.
Ripperoni, pepperoni.
It's true.
But anyways, if you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonalanimecheckup.com or sac.cool, where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared Now Watch. You also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, A Critical Analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, and Hot Tubs and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And you can join us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early, and a wealth of bonus content as well.
Yay.
Next week, I don't know, I'm guessing we're probably going to talk about Eurotome.
Probably going to talk about the Atome because
Unless you somehow can't finish it in time.
I mean, I have spring break coming up.
Yeah, but we got a short week coming up.
Do we?
Yeah, daylight savings time is tomorrow.
Ugh.
Yeah!
Ugh. No.
Worst!
No.
So you're going to lose an hour of play.
Oh, terrible. Well, I only have like half of a dude's route and then the true ending route left. So
You'll be fine.
I should probably be able to pull it off. So we will be talking about variable barricade next week, probably.
Yeah.
Because Atome names. And actually, I do understand now what variable barricade means. So I will be able to explain that to the people. But yeah, look forward to talking about some weird Atome shenanigans.
Yep.